What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the debut album from the band Nephilim Grinder, entitled Spiritual Torment. This is released on Unmatched Brutality Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Houston, Texas, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, fast, aggressive style of brutal death metal. Yeah. My first introduction to Nephilim Grinder was by way of their 2020 self-released demo. It was only 2 tracks long, but it gave you a small glimpse of another really impressive and blossoming project to come out of the very diverse and musically awesome Houston, Texas death metal scene. Just a really, really solid demo, and it was pretty basic in its nature. Drum machine, bass, guitar, vocals, 2 really awesome people behind that project. My good friends Marvin and Bridget behind it. And it made for some very, very fun listens. And I was curious to see how this project was going to evolve if it decided to evolve at all. And indeed it did evolve from being a brutal death metal band with a drum machine to a brutal death metal band with an actual drummer. Because when I found out that there was going to be a Nephilim Grinder full length, I was very interested and curious to see how the sound was going to evolve. Because, of course, Marvin is still in this project. And if you don't know Marvin, he has his fair share of experience being in the Houston, Texas metal scene, being in bands such as Sculpting Atrocity, Desecrate the Faith, Dysmetria, just to name a few. He hired a guy by the name of Roman, who is a really, really well-known and well-established drummer. You probably know him best as the drummer for Bio Noise Generator and assorted other bands like Esophageal and Scatology Secretion. He is an absolutely sick drummer, and his body of work speaks for itself, so he was going to be doing drums for this Nephilim Grinder full length. And I was very excited to hear how things were going to work out, and now here we are with this debut full-length album from Nephilim Grinder entitled Spiritual Torment. It's 11 tracks, and it clocks in at around 23 minutes in length, so pretty much this album is a breeze to get through in more ways than one. But besides the short album length, you get a glimpse of some very, very smart and impressive songwriting going on here. Really well done music, really top-notch vocals, and I really see some bigger things happening for this band in the future. Musically, it's very top-notch. It almost has that modern and contemporary flair going for it. The way the guitar riffs sound, the way the bass is, it's just very, very well established. And I think Marvin does a really fine job here executing all these really, really complex and technical sorts of riffs and bass parts into this album. You hear it on the first couple of tracks like Demonic Flesh Ritual, Total Destructive Wave, and The Grisliest Void. Just some really, really strong songwriting chops going on here. Later on in the album is when things begin to get a little bit more complex and crazier with songs like Surgical Worship and the closing track Finality. Really, really great riffs to be heard. Very grisly in detail, I should say, when it comes to these riffs. It's just really entertaining. When it comes to the drums, like I said, I think Roman is a fantastic drummer and one of the best current drummers in today's brutal death metal world, and his drum performance on here is incredibly top-notch. It's very fast-paced, very blast beat heavy, very well executed. There's really no sense of slowing down here. This definitely does have a quick and relentless pace and energy in this drum performance, and I think it's really, really solid. And when it comes to the vocals, I know Marvin is a really talented guitar player, but you don't really hear too much about his vocal prowess. But I think here on this album you get a good glimpse of what type of vocals he can really deliver here. Very low, very guttural, very well executed. My only one complaint here when listening to this album is I kind of wish his vocals would have been turned up a little bit more in this album's mix, because you hear his vocals, but I don't think they're loud enough. I kind of think it gets kind of drowned out just a little bit by the music, but I definitely do think you can hear his vocals fine. They're very well executed, very guttural, very, very tactfully done here. I kind of wish they would have been turned up just a little bit, but that's just one small complaint about this record. I think his vocal performance is really solid. So overall, I definitely think this is a very impressive debut. I really would have loved for it to have gone on a little bit longer. I feel like there's more stuff to be examined here for maybe future releases. But if you're into Texas death metal, I think you should welcome Nephilim Grinder with open arms. This is a really, really fantastic debut, and I'm looking forward to hearing more great things from them in the future. So, if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Demonic Flesh Ritual, The Grisliest Void, the title track is very good, Primal Awakening, and Surgical Worship. Just a really, really solid selection of tracks to listen to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you a link in the description box is how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Unmatched Brutality Records Bandcamp page where you can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it by digitally, and it is available physically as a CD. There are also merchandise options available. You can get it from the label, and if you are local in Houston, I believe the band will have copies. Marvin will have copies to sell himself, so definitely get a hold of him if you want to support the band directly. So, again, the album is Spiritual Torment by Nephilim Grinder. This is released on Unmatched Brutality Records. Definitely check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a pretty solid 8 out of 10. Very impressive debut. Wish it would have gone on longer, but I definitely think that there will be more great things to come from this band in the future. So, if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it and how you feel about it, or any of you guys into Nephilim Grinder, definitely let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Army out.